Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 198 of the On Air Advocate. Where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and information for all those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I am super excited you are joining us bright and early this morning here live, or if you are catching this on the replay. Now, as always, if you think any of the content that we are talking about today could be relevant for anyone in your network or your circle, please hit the share button on whatever social media platform you are watching this from right now. Now, as you guys know, we are in a month-long series for mental health awareness. And I am so excited to have here today with us Dr. Key. She is an associate professor, a published researcher, and a diversity expert. Welcome, Dr. Key.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I am so excited to have you here today. And this is the first time that you are here today with our guests. So I would love, in our audience, I would love for you to share a little bit more about your background, Dr. Key.
Yes, I am an associate professor. My area of expertise is human services. So I do a lot of research with vulnerable populations and how we can better serve minority populations, those with disabilities, some of these very vulnerable populations who are marginalized in our society. So I conduct research in that area. I also teach and train students to become human services professionals. And actually, advocates for these vulnerable populations. And so that's really where my research housed in, but I also hold an administrative title, and I am the Academic Affairs Director of Faculty Diversity and Retention. So I really focus on keeping and recruiting diverse faculty and making sure any barriers to them thriving within the institution are addressed by the institution. So I identify those barriers and I help to address them. And I think in my personal life, my background is human services. So all I do is work with people. I am a very strong advocate for women, and I've developed a women's leadership program. And so I really focus on making sure that women are whole so they can lead. I am one of those believers that now during crisis, we need more women leaders to lead us through crisis, because we have empathy and all of those different things that men sometimes have a little bit less of.
Yes.
And so I do a lot to work with, I work with shelters. Do a lot of empowerment events for women and youth. I advocate for more awareness of Black youth suicide because the rates are so high right now. So I do a lot within the community.
Yes, I love it, Dr. He. I love it. And, when we chatted over the phone, because you are on the East Coast and I'm here in the Midwest, we really, really discussed, as both being professional women, how is COVID-19, affecting us within that space, our careers, our mental health as a whole. And, I wanted you to kind of lead us, through that and the impacts that you're seeing. As COVID-19 is here, and this may become our new normal, right? And starting to adjust to that.
So there are many impacts that I think lead into mental health for women. And one of the major things that we are seeing right now is that women are wearing all of their multiple hats at the same time, right? They are expected to still work, right? They're working from home, but they're also homeschooling small children. They are also, the caregivers for parents and elderly loved ones. And so they have all of these major stressors right now. Usually they would get a break if they sent the children to school. They knew the teachers had them, right? And if there was an issue or a problem, they knew that the school would call. So they didn't have to worry. So they could focus solely on their work. So they can kind of compartmentalize their different roles. But right now, all of the roles are blended. Women are at the same time trying to work, homeschool, cook, clean, as well as be caregivers for loved ones. And I think that is going to have a tremendous impact on their mental health. Can we literally do it all?
Right.
Many, and we're talking about women that may be single mothers. They may also be wives. It's just that the roles in their family and their household is different for men in a lot of families. That the woman is that nurturer. They are that caregiver. They are the one that organize and pull everything together. We are seeing a lot of commentary start to come out. Right? Women are talking in blogs, Facebook groups and things about how overwhelmed they're feeling, how they feel that they're being, there's a lack of productivity. They're not getting things done that they really need to do because they have to focus so much on the family. They're feeling, burnt out. One woman even posted that she is doing her work in the middle of the night, which means that she's taking care of the family all day and she has to work in the middle of the night. So when is she sleeping? When is she eating?
And Dr. Key, I so agree with you. I've never seen more posts on social media of moms being out there being like, I didn't mean to be a teacher. I didn't go to school to be a teacher. And especially if they have young adults or children that have unique needs, right? Yeah. They're trying to be now the OT, the PT, the speech, person, help with those things. And yes, I have seen women that always have it all together, even though it's a stress all together, be like ready to pull their hair out lately.
Yeah. I spoke to a woman yesterday who told me, listen, I just don't like the pressure of having to feel like I have it all together, right? She was like, people ask you, how you're doing, and you are, it is expected that you say that I'm doing fine, I'm doing good, because they really don't want to know how you're doing.
That's right.
That is giving me so much pressure. And I told her, I totally understand, but I told her, be honest. You don't have to lie to anybody. Say today is an okay day so far, right? I've had some not so okay days. And I think we need to be really aware of how all of this will impact women long term. There may be guilt because they're unable to be as productive as they once were, right? There may be some depression, right? Because they are carrying the load, the emotional load of the family. And if you're a parent, you understand, you are always looking out for the kids' best interests, right? And so you're looking at their mental health, making sure that they have connections with friends. But what about yours, right? And so women typically will forsake themselves for the needs of the family, and that can have a long-term impact. It can lead to increased depression and anxiety. Women of color, research tells us that women of color experience the anxiety more severe, the symptoms of anxiety more severe. It can lead to grief, right? They can start to grieve their career as it once was. I've even heard about women stepping out of administrative roles because they can no longer handle it.
Right. And that's a big question that has come up even for myself. Obviously, within my other business, I have employees. It's like, well, if our kids are going to be home all day, we're homeschooling them. And I think there's a lot of guilt with that as well, right? Because if you're not good at doing it, you're like, well, if my kid doesn't succeed, well, then is that on me? If they don't do good with their homework, well, then is that on me that I, should know how to do this in a better way? But, with the work, how am I going to go back into the workspace? If I have to actually return to work as normal to a building, to leave my home, how am I going to be able to do that and homeschool my children at the same time?
And I don't think anyone's thinking about that. They're saying, oh, we're going back in 2 weeks. We're going back in 3 weeks. Well, the kids are home indefinitely, right? We don't know when they're going back. Summer programs are not open. I mean, summer camps have been canceled and put online. I think we need to think of really the big picture. Institutions have to really think about women, because if not, we're going to set women so far back, and that equity gap is going to be even larger, right? And we're going to have more women that are resenting their children, right? Grieving their careers, feeling guilty because they have resentment, feeling guilty because they don't want to. I don't want to teach. I don't want to teach small kids, right? And I'm lucky to have teenagers right now, but if I didn't, I would have had to. There was a part of my life where I was a single parent. What about those parents? Those women that are single parents, that the family is relying on their income, but they can no longer handle the responsibility of the job and the family. That's going to take a large toll on women.
Right. And aside from just their mental health, their physical health, because, studies have shown, the more stress that we are under, the more parts of our body we compromise and let things, go. And I really wonder after all this settles enough that we get to go back in for physicals and we get to go back in to get our checkups, how many people, men and women, are going to have new medical conditions because they have not, you know what I'm saying? As they started experiencing them, they stayed home. You know what I'm saying? Reach out for help.
One article said that people are not going in for their, health appointments because of COVID-19, right? They're not even doing the telehealth things. So they're ignoring their symptoms. And now is not the time for that, because I really think that this stress that we have on us, we have, stress from the media saying, do this. Oh, it targets this population. Oh, no, it doesn't target this population. We have all of those pressures, as well as what's going on with society as far as opening and not opening, as well as what's happening in our homes and our careers. That can lead to heart attacks and strokes and all of these different things. It is stress. Stress does not do well within our bodies, right? And we don't really have the outlets that we once had to get it out. We can't even run away from our family for an hour if we wanted to, because there's not too many places that we can go.
Maybe to our car in the garage.
I told someone yesterday, she said, I did set up a telehealth appointment with my counselor, right? And I said, that's good. And I really, if I don't say anything else in this segment, women, get a counselor. Yes. That would be the best 45 minutes to an hour that you have, right? And she said that she couldn't even get away from her family to talk to her counselor. Like, her husband was interjecting in the background. Her daughter was talking in the background. And I tell her to go in your car, pull it up on your cell phone, and talk to your counselor there, right? Because you need a moment.
Right.
Go in your closet and close the door and talk to your counselor. Like, you need that moment. We have to be very purposeful in finding those opportunities to take care of ourselves. That is our self-care.
Yes. And I think that new normal of doing everything more telehealth wise over the computer, it's very, very new. For some, they've been doing it for work and some school things. But if not, it takes a little getting used to. And, myself, as we talked about before we hopped on the show, I'm a super planner, prepare, do this. And, my son has multiple chronic medical issues. We have, in the time that COVID has happened, we've missed about 27 appointments. And so by the time I phased it, and you get all the doctors in order in the hospitals, it's only been about the last 2 to 3 weeks that we've been able to do anything telehealth wise. But I'm telling you, the structure of getting back to our normal appointments, even though it's telehealth, and doing it that way and having it on the books, that, there's that reprieve away for whether it's your kids, if they see a counselor, if they see someone for mental health, you yourself. And now on like week 4 that we're on, of doing stuff just this week, it's really a point of a little bit more calming, because I know that some of those support services, those people that were supportive people before, I might not be able to touch them, but we can see them and talk, and it does really help relieve some stress.
You feel the support just by having the interactions. And one thing that I think that women have to do, they have to get out all of their feelings and emotions. And I think that is why we're seeing the blogs, we're seeing some of this dialogue go around. It's because they're getting it out. But there's so many women that are not getting it out. And we need to find outlets and ways to actually get out how we feel. So I would encourage women who are going through some of these emotions and strains and carrying everything. First, you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it. Right. And I learned that the hard way as a single mother, because I wanted to do everything perfectly. But you don't have to be perfect. You just have to do it. So maybe put up some boundaries and some systems in place to help support you. Right. Even if that means the kids are eating microwave food for breakfast and lunch. It's okay. Right.
Right.
But also journaling. Talking about your emotions and your feelings and what you're experiencing, and what is that doing for you, and then looking at that journal and thinking, how can I combat some of these emotions and feelings? What can I do? That may mean, scheduling every day, rain, sleet, snow, or hail, that you're going to get out there and get outside and walk by yourself, with no kids, no dogs, no one. Or that may mean having those telehealth appointments more regularly. Whatever that need means for you, you have to be conscious about it and very purposeful in doing it. And we can't wait for employers to realize that we're overwhelmed. We can't wait for that. I think they should be. I think institutions should be really thinking about women and how they develop their policies.
Right.
I have even heard, one of the things that I've heard that is shocking to me is this idea of micromanaging people from home.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, you're home, you're working from home. So since you're home, I know I can get this report in 10 minutes, right? So do it now. You're supposed to be working from 9 to 5. I read an article that some companies were hiring PIs, private investigators, to make sure their employees were actually working at home.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy stuff, crazy pressures that people have to deal with. And I think that employers are going to have to really rethink what they're doing. You need to trust. If the work gets done, the work gets done, even if it's in the middle of the night.
Right. Because I don't, and I haven't read any articles on that yet as to how businesses, if children remain being off of school for a duration, or if it goes into fall, or with there being no summer camps and classes and all that, what's the plan? I mean, where are your kids going to go? It's not like you can just leave them.
Right.
It's not as if an employer could put that against you, because this is the whole United States, right? This is everybody that is having this issue. So, I mean, I know that from a employer perspective, obviously they can't get denied any type of unemployment or anything like that, but that's only a fraction. That's not going to carry them.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And then if they're supposed to be seeking other employment, they can't have other employment if they have to take care of their kids.
That's true. And I don't think all businesses are thinking like that. They're thinking about getting the work done. One thing that was announced last week was that Twitter gave all of their employees the option to work from home or not from now into eternity. So they are looking at the work and the work performance and not actually trying to micromanage the time.
Right.
And I think companies need to start thinking like Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to be best for my staff? Right? How can we really leverage this?
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, we're going to have more women without careers. We're going to have more children not being able to be taken care of because the parents are forced to leave. Or we're going to have more of the elderly who are more prone to getting ill, from COVID-19, being responsible for taking care of our children because there's no other way to do it.
Right. And that's a whole nother layer if you have your kids home and if you're taking care of like one of your elderly loved ones and you're trying to protect them and them not get sick. Because I think that all of us, and, if anyone's watching this now or on the replay, can, let me know how they feel. I feel like every time I go to the store, it's like a marathon run. I got my Clorox wipes, I got my mask, I got this. And so it's no longer like, oh, somebody needs a prescription. I can just run there super quick and I can pick it up. It's like an event.
It's a whole event. As a matter of fact, it makes you not want to go to the store, right? I can have 3, normally I would run 3, 4, or 5 different errands at one time. Now it's like, I'm going for this one thing and I'll do the other things, space it out 3 or 4 days because it's a whole event. Also, there's the added pressures of you're raising a family. There are certain things that you need from the grocery store. And you cannot go to one grocery store and get it.
Right, because you can't find it.
You can't find tissue. You can't find paper towel. You can't find meat sometimes, right? And so it is literally an event because you have to go to several grocery stores just to get the things that you need. That is all added pressure.
Right.
All added pressure.
Yeah, and I don't think that people really take that in, the amount of stress that takes a toll on. Like when you do go into one store, you don't have what you need. You have a time limit, especially if you have someone watching your children to be able to go, so you're not taking them in the store, and then waiting in line to get into the store. And so it's not that those safety regulations and perimeters should change. It's just the fact of the layers of it and acknowledging how much stress it is putting on you and trying to figure out what are the best ways to minimize that. And sometimes from getting someone else's perspective. Joining groups, listening to people, online, getting telehealth can help you to work through some of those things a little bit, some of those stressors, I think.
Yeah. And I think, I've been seeing people actually develop a number of networks for women. And it's just an opportunity for women to come together and talk, right? Support one another, keep each other accountable. Those networks are going to be so critical in this time, right? Because women need other women that understand what they're going through and what they're dealing with to help guide them through. This is what I did. Maybe you should try this, right? This is what I did with my children. Maybe you should try that. And I think that is how we're going to get through this, because it's going to be a while before we get back to any sense of normality. And even our sense of normality will be so different from what it was.
Right.
It'll be a routine. It just won't be what it was.
So if we were to kind of consolidate some of the different things that we just chatted about, what would you say would be like your 3 best tips or processes that you would recommend to women at this time?
I think, one, women need to have some type of self-care routine. They need to develop a self-care plan. And I say a plan because I think it's going to take more than just a counselor. Right. I think you need a counselor. You need to be journaling. You need to take those walks. You need a plan. You need to write out what that plan. My plan involves taking a bath. When I'm feeling stressed, I'm going to go sit in a bubble bath by myself for a while. Right. And so you need to have a self-care plan. And I think the second thing is to forgive yourself for not doing everything perfectly, to forgive yourself for not wanting to do everything, to let go of the guilt, to let go of the shame. That forgiveness is going to be a big release for you. And I think you just need to give yourself some grace. No one is doing this thing perfectly, right? We're just doing it. Okay. So you don't have to be perfect. So give yourself some grace, forgive yourself. And I think the third thing is you're going to have to set some kind of boundaries. And those boundaries mean, teaching the kids what your boundaries are. I don't care if it's putting a note on the door that says from 10 a.m. to noon, mommy is in here and she is working, right? Yeah. I have put this in place for you or that in place for you, and I need to sit down. And I know that may work with older kids and not with some of the younger ones who have their own sense of things. But maybe nap time for those younger ones is from 12 to 2. And from 12 to 2, that's when mommy works. So I think we're going to need some type of schedule, boundaries in place to keep us on track so that we feel like we're moving towards our career goals. Even if we're not moving fast, we need to set some realistic goals so that we don't get so overwhelmed by our many different roles.
Yes, exactly. And Dr. Key, do you have some things that you're putting on during this time? Any kind of programming or, a place that somebody can kind of reach out to you, if they're looking, for advice or groups that they can belong to or suggestions on other groups?
Yes. So I'm big on Instagram. And if you follow me on the Dr. Key, you can get a lot of my different advice that I give out. I've been offering free webinars. I've done a mental health webinar. It's all on YouTube. Again, you can find me at the Dr. Key on YouTube. And so I have free webinars there, but also I've developed a 8-week leadership program for women. And it's really a accountability program to help build leadership skills, but to keep us on track. And it begins June 1st. So you can reach out to me for that program. Visit my website, www.thedrkey.com. And I think that's the best way to get in touch with me. Keep up with what I'm doing.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And are you able to, when we log off today, just in the comments underneath this segment, if you can drop any of those links, that will be great.
Yes, definitely.
Just to make it a little bit more easily and readily available. Because I know, do you have another webinar coming up or are you done with your webinar series?
I just posted a webinar yesterday, so I'm not done with my webinar series. I also have a podcast where I just talk about real issues that impact women on a regular basis. And so it's called Making It Plain, and Making It Plain with Dr. Key. I just talk in layman terms instead of using any type of specific language, but I want everyone to be able to relate to it. And so that's why I call it Making It Plain. And you can find that on Spotify, GooglePlay, iHeart Radio. And so I just talk about some of these real issues like we're talking about today. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I'm going to have you drop those below in the links on this Facebook page, and then I will add them to our other social media platforms as well. Dr. Key, I thank you so much for spending this morning with us and sharing some of your tips and advice. And we all just really need to know that we are not alone in this. We are all in this together. We truly are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Dr. Key. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And for anyone who wants to know any more about the resources at the On Air Advocate, you can head on over to onairadvocate.com, and all of our resources are there. And if you would like to join our private community, just head up to the top of this Facebook page. If you're on Facebook right now, hit the blue button, and that will let you into our private group. So with that, everybody I'm trying to think of what day it is. That's what COVID does. It's Tuesday. Everybody have a fabulous Tuesday. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you, Dr. Key. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.